Good morning and welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known, sponsored by the Bell Project, where they are helping tens of thousands of families reunited and trying their best to end cash bail. Also by March On, a woman-led pack that they are serious. They want some real Democratic candidates, some strong ones, and they want to save democracy. March On Pack, check them out. A woman led organization that seeks to do what's right for all Americans. And uh, it's a lot going on. We always say it's a whole lot going on, and nothing ever changes when it comes to that, right? Whole lot going on. Before we get into it, though, yesterday was a really cool day. I wasn't here with you yesterday, but it was cool nonetheless. It's not a whole lot that at this moment, but very shortly I will be able to share with you. Um, but I did have the privilege of 26 days before it debuts, seeing the Michael movie. And it was more than what I had thought. It was uh, not that I thought it was going to be bad because I didn't, but it was a whole lot. It was as close to perfection as possible. And for a biopic, and to tell Michael Jackson's story. Very, very interesting thing. I know there's going to be a couple of things, and I'm not going to go into it yet, that folks are going to be like, wait a minute, why this, why that? But it's probably one or two things, small things too. Well, some may not think it's small, but this thing hit, this is a grand slam. It's not a home run, it's a grand slam. And I'm going to tell you right now, this much I think I'm okay to say. Uh, Coleman Domingo. See, I knew Joe Jackson. I talked to him many times, was with him many times. Coleman Domingo is the absolute perfect Joe Jackson. I mean, he was every bit of Joe Jackson. He's wait till you see this movie, and we're gonna see it again. I'm gonna see it again. I am going to see it again. Um, when it premieres in theaters. My family wants to see it. My wife and I went together to see it yesterday in New York, and it was a beautiful place that they, you know, took us to see this, and it was on Park Avenue in New York, and um, beautiful screening room. And I'm telling you, folks, this movie, whether you're a fan of Michael Jackson or not, you should see this movie. You should see this movie. I am well, throughout the time, throughout the whole movie, I'm talking because there's so much, when and there's so much little nuances and things that I knew, and I'm talking to her throughout the whole movie, like, oh, okay, that bop 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 bop. I'm like, okay. Um, the the two guys that's running the state, and there's some surprises with who is also involved. Is I'm gonna let y'all see the movie, because opening from the opening, and it just goes, it starts to me. I love movies that go right into it, and this went right into the heart of it all. I love when they do that with any movie, whether it's a drama, suspense, comedy, just get to it. And they got right to it. And you will want to see this thing all the way through the last credit that rolls. And there's a reason for that, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's a surprise. It's a lot of surprises there. You want to see. But this was they knocked it out the park. John Branca, John McClane, much respect, much love for that. They're the ones, they're the masterminds behind it, and let's do this. They're the executives of Michael Jackson's estate. They said, "Let's do this." And I think one of the smartest moves that people will realize, including Paris Jackson, is putting their own money behind it because the money. It's already been reported that uh, pre-sales, and this movie is 25 days away. Pre-sales at $90 million. Um, Someone else who saw the um, was treated to a private screening in Los Angeles told me yesterday that people were crying in their screen. It's, it and it's I guess in some ways you can say it's a tearjerker if if you're one of those fans. But all I can tell you is, without going overboard, is to tell you that Coleman Domingo, yeah, yeah, if y'all been watching, let it be known, I love the name Coleman Domingo. But, Coleman Domingo, and it's not to take away from any of the actors, and Jafar, I had a new Jafar when he was 4 or 5. They picked the perfect Michael. That's all I'll say. They picked the perfect one to play Michael, his own nephew. They looked no further than um, his uh, his family for that one. But um, you guys are in for a treat. And I said it before seeing it. I thought everything I'd heard about it, I just said, okay, so what they're doing is basically they're giving a big hug to Michael Jackson's fans, a big love to Michael Jackson's fans with this movie. And when I saw it, proved no different. My thought on that is that this is a big show of love, gratitude, thank you to his fans. Um, Michelle Madison says that her grandson is a huge Michael Jackson fan. He's 11 years old. Of course, he'll enjoy it. I think that that's part of the great thing about this film. They recognize that there's so many young ones today who have no idea who Michael Jackson is. Never wasn't around for Michael Jackson, who appreciate Michael Jackson, who loves Michael Jackson, and now they'll get a chance to really see what they missed. This is obviously a film is going to be the closest you can get, but they really did it. They did it. So yeah, your 11-year-old is going to absolutely love it. You're probably going to see it more than once. Probably going to see it more than once. Um, and of course, you have the music, and when you have the music, you have that music. um, yeah, that is it is awesome, folks. It is awesome. Gas prices, folks, in the US has risen by more than $1 a gallon since the war in Iran started, with the average price now reaching $4 for the first time in 4 years. Prices were just $2.98 on average back on February 27th, which was a day before the US and Israel went into Iran and attacked them. Now, experts are saying that the prices may eventually exceed the all-time high of $5.01 a gallon, which happened right after Russia invaded Ukraine. Dr. Nicole, back to the Michael movie for a second. She's asking, will there be a sequel? She's asking, do I think? So, there's been talk of there would be two, there possibly three versions or iterations of the Michael Jackson movie, part two, part three. And I know when I sat down with John Branca about a year and a half ago in Las Vegas, he did mention that they were considering that, because you probably heard the stories about how they had to cut this, cut that, do this, do that. Is a lot. whatever. They kind of left the door open for a second one. You could easily see how what they would do. My wife and I talked about it, and we both came to the conclusion that a probably won't be a second one. This is just our conclusion, just two people's conclusion. Probably won't be a second one, and B, in my opinion, it should not be a second one. It's like some things. There's a couple probably a couple of exceptions, like The Godfather. Some things you don't need a sequel to. Some things you should just let it stand. Let it just let that sit. You can't improve upon perfection. That's all I'm saying. RNG says Brent crude oil is trading at $115, more dollars, and the world will be in a recession. We'll be in recession territory. Yeah, all of the economists are saying that it's not if, it's just a matter of when the recession, another great recession, is coming. And I'm glad this morning, this is not a pat on the back, but I'm glad this morning to see. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm looking at my monitor and it's showing there's a lot of people watching this morning. Thank you for joining us. And I'm glad you're watching because you guys are all probably going to go see the Michael movie. um, but anyway, the gas prices. I was thinking yesterday I had to run a few errands when we got back from New York seeing the film, and I need to get my wife like some gas in her car. And then I hear about the gas prices. I'm like, boy, oh boy, every minute is going up. Over the weekend, I know RNG because he's already been texting about it. We heard some more stuff from people like Nick Cannon and Chili. And I mean, I won't even mention Amber Rose because it's a useless individual right there. She's not even worth mentioning. But Nick Cannon in his uninformed, unintelligent way, and then Chili backtracking or trying to backtrack and Salt from Salt and Pepper saying, "Hey, girl, speak your truth," or whatever. That's your truth. Speak your truth. No, $5.99 a gallon in Boston this morning, and yeah, black folks chasing waterfalls. Like me. No, yeah, and Luke, Uncle Luke, Luther Campbell, said, free speech is free speech, but shouldn't you don't, as that old saying about yelling fire in a crowded theater. How about Nick and Chili and Waka Flocka? How about the people who made you wealthy and famous, bought your material? These are the people who are being crushed by this stuff. And even if you felt, you have every right to to go out and support whoever you want. And y'all know how I feel about politics. Doesn't matter to me. But you can support whoever you want. But why be so ignorant and put this to the people you're supporting are crushing? And the healthcare, for instance, healthcare, right? We know it's off the charts expensive. Now, the MAGA folks in Congress say people who Chili, she contributed to Ted Cruz's campaign and Senate Republicans' campaign. They're saying they need $200 billion for this Iran war now, and they want to take it from healthcare. Jamel Hill had a couple of things to say. Let's listen in on. I don't know what y'all think about Jamel. I love Jamel, And so,
sort of housekeeping items before jumping into what is essentially the main course. So, the main course today is about chili. Y'all see what I did there? That was just like a corny little joke. Okay, anyway, as many of you are aware now, it has come out in the last few days that Chili of TLC, that she is a Trump supporter. And listen, it is amazing how in this age of social media, how people immediately will go and get them receipts. All right. It was a big deal, as many of you all know. It was announced within the last week that TLC, In Vogue, and Salt and Pepper were going to go on tour together. And a lot of us 90s people, or those of us born in the 1900s, as I like to say, we are super excited, or were super excited about this concert. In fact, me and my girls, my Machete crew, many of you all know, Tiffany Cross, Carrie Champion, Joyanne Reed, Latasha Brown, co-founder of Black Lives Matter, Alicia Garza, Sunny Hostin, Brittany Pagnett Cunningham. We were already putting into motion the fact that we were going to go to this concert. We picked a date that all of us could make it, picked the date and said, okay, we're going to go see TLC, In Vogue, and Salt and Pepper in Toronto. Fast forward, now looks like we ain't going. And here's the thing, I see this in the chat, so let me put this up on. We did actually buy the tickets, and we bought some VIP tickets at that. And this is before this information came to light. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't follow Chili on social media, so I had no idea all of the receipts that I have discovered about her in the last 48 to 72 hours, did not know they existed. And that is because, again, I don't follow her. I didn't really hear, frankly, a lot of buzz about her political leanings or the fact that she had done some of the things that she'll done with she done some of the things that she did, which I will get to in a moment. But yeah, we bought the tickets. We were all in. And in fact, before all of this broke, somebody from TLC's camp actually reached out to us to see if they could assist in any way and, make our experience better once we got there. And I can tell you right now, the mood in the room is we ain't going. And, we're taking a vote because, listen, it is truly hard for all of us to get together. And we went to see New Edition, Boyz II Men, and Toni Braxton. And we had a marvelous time at this concert. And so we recognize that there are other women who will be part of this concert that we want to support. We love Salt and Pepper, we love In Vogue, but I'm gonna just keep it a 1,000. I'm not feeling it. And I think that ultimately we're gonna wait to see how some of this plays out, because I am wondering, with all this fallout, will whoever is behind this tour, will they replace TLC? Because I think things have gotten that bad with this situation, in part because of how Chili has handled it.
yeah. So, and you can check out more from Jamel Hill. Go to her YouTube page or her Substack. But right, and the way that she's handled it as well. First of all, she couldn't have. There's no good way to handle it anymore, because the cat's out of the bag. As she said, they pull all the receipts, and this idea that, and as Dr. Nicole, and Dr. Nicole says it, and this is the real problem, more than the support for MAGA and putting her money behind MAGA. It's about Michelle Obama and that video, especially, as Dr. Nicole says, especially from a Black woman. And then it's, people are not, as in general, when it comes to this stuff, they're not stupid. You can't, oh, it was an accident. You never erased it. You kept it, you commented on it, and you thought it would just be okay. I find it very interesting, and I think Jamel Hill hit on something there about a replacement. Because guess what? They can be replaced. It can be replaced. And Jamel Hill, if you didn't know, I follow her, so I do know. She talked about those tickets, and if they needed assistance or whatever. she had bought some tickets and they wanted to get another it was like add something to it, and Live Nation was giving them a problem or whatever. But they got it figured out. But RG says, serious question. Why hasn't all of the so-called black sports journalists, podcasts, and other influencers remained quiet with the beef between Stephen A. from Django and Jason Whitelock? Yeah, I think they just, hey, when you know that expression "eating their own," I think they want them two to eat each other. And Jason Whitlock looks like he might eat Stephen A. Smith at some point. Um, maybe having Brandy and Monica will be a suitable replacement. And see, that's what I was thinking too, Mike. They may, you know, they may reach out and say, "Hey, we gotta have to do this." Now, it may not. I'm thinking it may not happen until maybe after the first concert or two, only because tickets had started selling immediately, and so they may not feel the fallout until the show. But I think, and even with, it's a dangerous thing also for Salt, unless Salt feels the same way as Chili about the MAGA stuff, about Michelle Obama. Maybe she does. I had the privilege of having her on the show and interviewing her. I didn't, I didn't ask those questions because it wasn't about politics. I didn't get the impression. I do get the impression that Salt, she's sort of like, my girl Lauren Hill, and is on a different plane sometimes, talking about things that probably don't exist. So maybe she needs to be excused. And so it's like, come on, there's certain horses you don't want to back. Chili was practically crying on social media about the so-called accusations. Yeah, let me see some real tears. Um, Dr. Nicole says that the SWV would be a perfect replacement. Absolutely. How about that? Absolutely. That's a good one. And Orange says, let the crowd start booing and TLC will be kicked off the tour. And that's what I'm saying. It may not be to that first concert or two. And then let me tell you something. They may think too that, okay, let's do the Canada show. Them Canadians do not like the MAGA folks at all. The American MAGA. And so they're going to see it as an affront as well. So I don't think she's going to get a respite because she is in Canada. But own it. People say own it, own your stuff. Don't make these excuses because they're feeble excuses that Chili's making. Very feeble. Why would you? It's like what Janet Jackson did with the whole Michelle Obama thing. And notice Janet Jackson hasn't done anything since, right? Nobody's paid much attention to Janet Jackson since. People love Michelle Obama, black black women, and you can't come for her without some repercussions. And for Chili and others to uh, repeat the stupid narrative about Michelle being a man, what does that say about Barack? It's just absolutely insane. It's the same. It's no different, really. Chili and repeating that stupid narrative that Michelle Obama is a man. It's the same as Donald Trump calling them monkeys. It's the same. So you can't get a pass. That's not, that. Why would you do? And where does, and again, I'm not talking about politics at all. My question is, at what point did Michelle Obama do anything to offend you? You know, she she seemed like consummate first lady, and there was no controversy with her, no scandals with the first couple. Uh, can't say that about just about any other president. What did she do to deserve this? Mike V says black misogyny and misandry are all the same. I guess so, Mike. I guess so. Um, and she says Chili needs hooked on phonics. Stevie Wonder can see who Chili likes, follows, and retweets. But that's a question I do have. Uh, I have not seen any controversial statements, any controversial tweets, or any controversial interviews that Michelle Obama did. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you guys have seen something. But what did she do? And I don't know Michelle. I'm not a follower of Michelle Obama. She happened to have been first lady. Other than I'm not one who could care about that stuff. But I don't understand. It's similar to again with Hillary and Bill when Bill was cheating and how they used him cheating against Hillary, like she committed the adultery. I just thought it was crazy. Where is Chicago flips red? Yeah, where are they? Right? They'll make some sort of excuse. He'll make some sort of excuse. But Nick Canning is very uninformed, very and for a guy who has done so much as far as television entertainment has made a lot of money, which is really the root of the problem, of course, in cases like his. My point though is the lack of being informed is stunning. You have too many out there, and he mentioned earlier Jason Whitlock and Stephen A. Smith. Too many who have platforms and money, but still want to dance the jig. Michelle Obama, RNG says Obama crimes are black, beautiful, educated, married with children, and she has no drama. And that's from RNG. So her main crime is being black and no drama. Educated too is probably a huge problem. Unreal. Um, moving on. Moving on. Over the weekend, I reported on this. Russell Simmons has filed a mega lawsuit against HBO, accusing it and its partners of ignoring civil rights leaders, burying evidence, and turning his name into a global spectacle. And he's putting it before a court in Manhattan. I spoke to Russell over the weekend, and he just feels like he's been harmed in a big way. And this sweeping amended lawsuit um, says that there was so much nefarious stuff with this on the record documentary from 2019. And despite repeated warnings that the film was one sided and unreliable, they went forward with it anyway. In the lawsuit, Russell's lawyer says this lawsuit is about the reckless and or malicious defamation of Russell Simmons. They described the film as a defamatory film that was mislabeled as a factual documentary and a tabloid hit piece that blurred the lines between documentary and drama to exploit the Me Too movement for media profit. We know Russell's lived in Bali since the allegations, and then now he says HBO and others are liable. He says before On the Record was broadcast, the HBO and the producers ignored the requests of many highly respected and notable civil rights leaders, including but not limited to the Reverend Jesse Jackson, the Reverend Al Sharpton, to not release this one sided story. Um, at one time, at least one time, a Time Warner board member asked uh, the producers to include both sides of the story, which they refused to do. Um, Russell points out how Oprah pulled out because of so many inconsistencies. And um, the main character was paid and had a whole lot to say about it. Now, for uh, what do they say? To reveal everything. So I reported before the documentary. I reached out to before it aired. I was one of the reporters who reached out to HBO, and one person at HBO told me, I get it." When I put forth that, Russell has these witnesses who I had spoken to, including a priest and among others, who a couple of the main accusers in the documentary had confided in, that these allegations that showed that these allegations were just that, they were false allegations. Um, Now, one of the alleged victims who I have spoken to and has recently communicated with as over the weekend. Now she maintains that something went wrong, that she was not that Russell mistreated her. But she also told me that, and this is not the first time she's told me this. She's told me that the HBO and the people who was doing the documentary, she said that they were nefarious people. She didn't trust them. They were. I want to find her words. Um, what she told me, and she because she just emailed me again, um, and she said she just didn't. It was a bad atmosphere, and here's one of her. Yeah, she did feel sorry for one person. She says, but she says it's not to say that she knew what happened to that person. And she said that she just the atmosphere was horrible. She says she had no idea about the story of two of the or three of the accusers. She says that she was stunned about some things, and she just it was not a good experience at all. She says was the filming that documentary was not a good experience. She didn't believe that it was necessary for Russell to go after one of the alleged victims so brutally, as she puts it. She says, "I don't know anything about this woman. I'm not going to name her. She just know that this particular accuser is very, quote, very ambitious." She says clearly, this is a quote, "I don't like those filmmakers. I hated them. Horrible people." This is a direct quote from her. "I thought they made a minstrel show out of the whole thing. It was never a documentary," is what she said. And that goes to the core of Russell Simmons' lawsuit. Now, Russell has contended that this particular woman he's dated, that they were dating. She has told me probably 50 times over the past year or so that she's never dated him. Um, so that's her story. She's been sticking with it. And so but this lawsuit, though, I think Russell is absolutely in the right. I think HBO will ultimately settle with him. He without going into details that he probably don't want public at this time, but he did make a documentary Yours truly was one of the executive producers. Just to be clear about my my position on this, and I don't take really a position against these women. I don't know these women. The one that I've been communicating with for the past year or so, I don't know her. She reached out to me and we started chatting. um it's like the I don't know, these people find me, y'all. One of the primary R. Kelly victims had reached out, her and her dad, to me, and we had talked for a while. And I just couldn't. I'm not in any way a supporter of R. Kelly. I think R. Kelly is where he needs to be, um, or where he should have been a long time ago. But I just find it amusing. In some ways, it's not an amusing topic, but I just find it crazy. But in this case, this one particular individual, it's so interesting because she was among those, everybody in that film, um, Salah Abrams, all of them, Drew Dixon, Drew Dixon's family, I reached out to prior to the documentary, and I, they never responded. And this particular person who is in the documentary responded. Like I said, she still started. She didn't respond either, but she started reaching out to me a little over a year ago. The documentary again ran in 2019, but Russell has maintained his innocence. Russell has said that, listen, I was not, he was a womanizer. This is what he says. I was a womanizer. I should have been a better person, but I did not assault anyone. I didn't do anything against anyone's will. That's his position. It's always been his position. I had extensive conversations with his ex-wife, Kimora, who up until recently had swore up and down there's no way he had done any of that stuff. That he was not that person. Several others, women models I've spoken to, that Russell either dated or was very close friends with, have defended him. Um, so he is he had letters that he produced. He had took 9 lie detector tests by a specialist, the world's foremost specialist in California. Passed them all. He hangs his hat on that. He stands by that. And the documentary that we did, the rebuttal video, I won't call it a documentary, but the rebuttal video that we did, that we put together, that he mostly put together, is fantastic. I have, I'm not in his camp, so he listens to people that he pays, right? To advise him, and they have advised him not to release it. I wish he would release it. I think it's a stunning piece of art, and it's a great rebuttal. And he's had this for a few years now. And I think this is what he offered to HBO. And they flat out said no. So it's ongoing, and we will see what happens. we will see what happens, because it's a terrible situation. And if you are accused, and I'm not, again, this is no testament on innocence or guilt, but if you are accused of something like this and you are innocent and it ruins you like this and nobody listens to you, you have no recourse but to go and take action to try and at least reclaim a part of your name. It's not even, at this point, Russell's living a great life in Bali. He owns the hotel there, and the hotel. I talked to him the other night. He's like, the hotel's doing great, and I've seen video and pictures. He's been wanting me to come out there, my wife and I. It's just too long of a trip for me. But I had some friends recently go out, and they hung out with him for a little bit. But um, he's doing great. It doesn't cost much to live out there and live the way he's living. So, Dr. Nicole says, sounds like unless there's video evidence, as with Diddy and Cassie, it will be his word against theirs. But where there's smoke? And I'm generally a believer of where there's smoke, but uh, sometimes I've found, and this is going to be a very unpopular take, but I just remember sitting there in the courtroom with Bill Cosby, and during lunch, one lunch break, him and I was talking about the situation and that whole where there's smoke part, and that's what he said. That's why this is why there are so many accusers, because you're not going to raise any alarms if it's just one. You're not going to raise too many alarms if it's just two. And then when you get an attorney who says, a popular so-called women's rights attorney who says, oh, I can get you $100 million, come forward, come forward. Anybody and everybody hearing this, we'll get $100 million from Bill Cosby. And now that one and two accusers quickly became 18, and then it quickly doubled, and then it quickly became 60. And then, right, Lauren Live, if there's so much uh, smoke, why aren't there criminal charges? And that's the other. And again, I said this. I remember I was on Court TV, and I said this back then. And I was, in fact, not only Court TV, I was on Roland Martin's show when Cosby was first charged. And I said on Roland Martin's show the same thing I had said previously on Court TV, that you got allegations against Bill Cosby from the 60s from white women. I don't care who you were as a black man. It could have been Muhammad Ali. If a black man allegedly touched a white woman inappropriately, sexually assaulted her, no matter who you were going to be done away with. It's just that simple. This is America. There was no such thing as an all-powerful black man. Oh, he's a star, this and that. Cosby had just basically broken through with I Spy in the 1960s. It would have been very easy to just get rid of him. If these, if this so-called smoke was really fire. No, these and some of these cases at least. And again, I can't speak for all of them. I don't know. I can't really speak for none of them because I wasn't there, as they say. But come on. All you have to do is be a little reasonable. Because where were these, even when he became more famous, where were these allegations? Seems to me, because the more famous the black man is today, the more of a target. Jay-Z has been able to, and I'm not saying Jay-Z has done anything wrong, y'all. But there's been allegations made, and with the swiftness, he went hard after them. He was smart, and I always said that all of them, Cosby, Michael Jackson, all of them, if you are innocent of these allegations, you to me, you have to go after these people, because you have to put a stop to it. You have to let the next person know. And Jay-Z did that, because I don't think you're going to hear about Jay-Z anymore with allegations unless they are true. Because he went hard after not just the accuser, but the attorney for the accuser. And you don't hear nothing else from that attorney anymore. He was making a big name for himself. Now all of a sudden, you don't hear anything. And right, right, Lauren, did HBO do a Weinstein documentary? See, folks, got to think about this. She says, think of all the black docs we've seen on black men: Michael Jackson, Chris Brown, Cosby, Russell Simmons, on and on. And Dr. Nicole, the 60s and 70s also has free love and hippies, especially out in California. It was a different time. And that's exactly what, again, I had that conversation with Bill Cosby. The idea, it doesn't excuse bad behavior, but it does put things in context. That whole free love thing and the Quaaludes was just it was all over. People associate Quaaludes with Cosby, and it's crazy. Having Quaaludes, women and men would bring Quaaludes to the party. One woman at Cosby's trial, which you guys don't know, because there was no cameras in the courtroom, and the Associated Press and New York Times wouldn't tell you. But one woman testified when she got her and her girlfriend got to his house in Tahoe, he said, "Help yourself to a Quaalude." She said, "No, I already had one before I got here. I had already taken one." It was common. It was very common. Oh, why are you defending? I'm not defending. I'm just telling you facts, and that's what you should base it on. If you even with those facts, if you feel like there's evidence to outweigh that, that's fine. I'm not going to argue with you. But what evidence can you produce from 1972, which is the last case with Cosby that the most recent case, which this jury decided that this woman should get $60 million from him from 1972? What evidence could you show that something actually happened other than he said, she said? Why hasn't 50 Cent did a documentary on any white person accused or convicted of crimes against women and children? 100%. 100%. It was a different time, Lauren says, and not one doc on a white male on the same subject matter. And it's not like there haven't been those who have been accused, right? It's true. But in Russell Simmons's case, again, the one of the things that he's always said, and it's always held true, nobody ever went to the police. Police has never called him. No detective have ever come to his door, rung his phone, and people say, "Oh, he's in Bali." No, this is before Bali, and even then, Russell comes back and forth. They know when Russell's in town. He was just in town. He attends those big Hollywood things, the Clive Davis party, and some other things. So, and with New York being the way it is after Cyrus Vance, and making it so easy for anybody to say you did this and now you got to pay. So you got to think these things through, folks. Lauren Live says, remember when Joe Biden was accused of sexual assault in April 2020? The New York Times became his defense attorneys. Exactly. Whereas, as Lauren knows, a thorn in her side, and it should, I understand why it's a thorn in her side, Justin Fairfax. Justin Fairfax. They destroyed this man. Absolutely destroyed Justin Fairfax, the former lieutenant governor of Virginia. With not a shred of evidence. Not a shred. But they Me Too'd him. And the poor guy fought. You know, I spoke to him, thanks to Lauren. She worked with him. This is a woman who worked with him, who knew and knows him very well, and watched how the media destroyed him because of an unfounded, unproven allegation that the Washington Post, New York Times, and the rest of them stoked and stoked and stoked to make sure he wouldn't win an election. It's absolutely insane. But we are quick to say, oh yeah, yeah, throw our guys under the bus. It's just really should not be that way, at least in my opinion. Lawrence says video soon on Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax. No facts, no evidence, nothing. Just the New York Times and Washington Post and two white feminist attorneys, Deborah Katz and Nancy Smith. She says it's the new lynching. It's called press lynching. And they got so upset when you know Cosby called his situation a modern day lynching. Oh, you can't say that. It was a press lynching. But my thing is just give everybody a fair shake. And if they did it, punish them. If you can't prove that they did it, then you can't prove it. But hey, um, you can't just say, "Oh, it's not anymore." You can't say, "Oh, there's so many people saying it, so it must be true." No, I just don't think you could say that anymore. I really don't. It's unfortunate because I get the theory though. Speaking of theories, check this out. Um, this woman, oh, she has every right to be so hot. This Mercedes owner has pressed charges against the dealership, against the dealership employee after finding out he was bar hopping with her bride. Kimberly Porter had her Mercedes C300 towed to Mercedes Benz of Collierville near Memphis, Tennessee, after it started acting up on the interstate. Um, she had it towed to the dealership because she said she trusted that dealership. But more than a month later, she got a notification that her car was moving around 7 p.m. on a Friday night from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. She watched her car hop between different bars. She said that's when she got up out of her bed and drove to the location. She had a loaner vehicle that the dealership had given her while they was supposedly fixing her vehicle. And then she saw her car sitting there outside this bar at 1 o'clock in the morning. She says, I'm sitting outside TJ Mulligan's because this guy's in there joyriding. He had a date. He took a woman out on a date in her car. She used her spare key to access the car to confirm that it was indeed hers, and then she called the police. They found a code inside the vehicle that belonged to Derek Nigel, who was a employee at the dealership. It had his driver's license and his passport inside. So where was he going with this date? Police went into the bar and came back out with Nigel in handcuffs. He allegedly told them that he had permission to drive the car. But a dealership service manager said otherwise when the police contacted them. They also noted that he had the odor of intoxicating beverages emanating from him. And then, to make matters worse, Miss Porter said that the dealership called her the next day and told her she needed to return her loaner car. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So think about that. You go get your car fixed, and one of the guys who work at the car dealership takes it on a not only just a joyride, but he picks up a date, goes to bar hopping. Give me a break. Oh boy. Most of the TSA administration's 60,000 workers began receiving back pay yesterday, which helps to ease some of the financial strain that they have had. They'll be paid, at least for some of the money that they owed for the past 6 weeks, but they still don't know when they'll be paid again. Now, the payment made was ordered by, of course, Donald Trump, and it did help alleviate some of the security lines yesterday. But the memo signed by the president ordering the Department of Homeland Security to pay them did not specify whether they would be paid on a regular schedule. Instead, it directed the department to provide TSA employees with the compensation and benefits that would have accrued to them if not for the shutdown. Hmm. Dr. Nicole said, yeah, that's crazy. Always be sure to record the mileage on your car because you can't trust anybody these days. Shaking my head. Yeah, I do that too. When I drop the car off for something, I do record the mileage. That's a great advice. Record the mileage, y'all. The show must go on. I was just looking at my wife's comments. She says the show must go on. That's back talking about the TLC drama. The show must go on. Ooh, now she's PT Barnum. Oh my gosh. But folks, we're just about running out of time. But check out again. You guys are gonna love. I can't say it enough. The Michael movie. It is. It's an experience. You're gonna love it, and we will be giving you guys a formal review and to come in. Well, I think we embargoed on that until April the 10th. It's actually gonna so it opens in theaters here in the United States on April the 24th. But it's gonna open in Berlin on April the 10th. So and you know, Michael Jackson has not only the most loyal fan base ever, but he also has a crazy fan base. Some of them just as wacky as ever. As it's got to be some loose screws. And I say that just to say that I would imagine that a lot of them will be headed to Berlin so they could see it first. It's true. Y'all know that during his trial in 2005, he had a lot of fans move from places like Germany and Japan and throughout Europe. They moved to the United States, got jobs locally just for the duration of his trial. That's how obsessed his fan base can be. So you might see a whole lot of folks, might hear about a whole lot of folks headed to Berlin. But we got more coming up in the next couple of days on that, things that we can talk about at this point. But other news coming up as well. We certainly appreciate you guys for watching. Let it be known. And hey, it is always a treat every single morning to come and talk to you guys and bring you some news you can use. We'll see you tomorrow.
Let's go! Let's go, Flav. Hey! Public enemy is coming through. Public